Good morning, students. This is class 11th physics. We are doing chapter number 12, thermodynamics. So today we are going to start with the topic that is thermodynamic state variables and equation of motion. So children, thermodynamic state variables, they are the parameters, they are the variables which will describe the equilibrium state of the system, right? They will give you the description about the present state of the system. Suppose if in a container you are having some gas, so the state variables, it will describe the condition of this system which is in equilibrium, right? So which are the state variables? So the pressure, volume, temperature, mass, the composition, these are the variables using which we can describe the state of the gas which is in equilibrium in this container, right? So your thermodynamic state variables are the parameters which helps us to describe the equilibrium state of a system. They are pressure, volume, temperature, mass and composition of the gas, right? Now children, these state variables, they are not independent. They are connected with each other. So the equation which shows the connection between these state variables is known as equation of ideal gas. Equation of state of ideal gas, which is PV equals to mu RT, where P is the pressure, V is the volume, and T is the temperature of the system in equilibrium. And children, here mu, in many books they have used the symbol N also. So they are the same. What is it? Mu or N, it indicates the number of moles of the gas. And here R, we know it is a gas constant, right? So this equation, it relates the thermodynamical state variables and is known as the equation of state or equation of ideal gas, right? Now children, these state variables, we can classify them into two. First is extensive and other is intensive state variables. So children, extensive state variables, they are those variables which change with the size of the system, right? For example, if I ask you about the density of water, we have studied about density of water, right? So density of water is about 1000 gram per centimeter cube. This is the density of water. Suppose I ask for a water, that you bring a glass of water. Its density will be 1000 gram per centimeter cube. And if you bring a very big bucket full of water, then also children, the density of water will remain the same. So your children, density, it does not depend upon the amount of the system. Next, if we talk about refractive index, children. You have done refractive index, right? If we talk about refractive index, then refractive index, suppose if we talk about refractive index of a glass, suppose you are having a glass of this size or you are having a glass of very big size. Children, its refractive index is going to remain same, right? It does not depend upon the size of the system. So extensive state variables are those which does not depend upon the size, and intensive variables are those which do not depend upon the size. They are the intrinsic property, they are the inbuilt property, right? So they will not depend upon the size, and extrinsic properties will depend upon the size. Okay, so if you imagine here, a very good example is given. If you want to just imagine that which are the extensive state variables, means which changes with size or which depends upon size, and which are the intensive state variables which does not change with size, then what you need to do is you just imagine a gaseous system which is in thermal equilibrium, and it is, you are dividing them from between, right? You are making a partition in which there are now in the two parts there are equal gases, right? So which are the variables which will change with the change you have made? That is, you have put a partition in the system. Suppose this is a gas, right? This is a system which contains gas in this. Now what you did, you have just made a partition, you have put a wall like over here, right? So what will happen? The volume of the gas will change. Pehle suppose volume tha capital V, now the volume over here and over here will be different. So volume, it depends upon the size of the system. So volume is a extensive state variable. Mass of the gas will change, right? Because it is also depending upon the size of the system. Intrinsic property, it also depends upon the size of the system. Next, the variables that are pressure, temperature and density, it will remain same, children, and so they are categorized as intensive state variables, right? Now let's move to the next topic. The next topic is about the thermodynamical processes. In thermodynamical processes, children, thermodynamical processes, you can say it is a process in which the thermodynamical variables of the system are changing with time, right? Your pressure, your volume, your temperature, they are changing with time. So that will be your thermodynamical processes. So before going to the thermodynamical processes, we should know a term that is quasi-static process. So children, a quasi-static process, children, it is a process which takes place very slowly. Means it is a process which takes place in infinitely slow steps. It is taking place very slowly, right? And the change that is taking place is so slow that the system always remains in equilibrium with its surrounding. But practically, children, this is not possible. So your quasi-static process is a hypothetical process, right? Such infinitely slow processes are not possible, but here we are going to take that into consideration. Okay, let's talk about thermodynamical processes. But here, children, we are going to assume that our thermodynamical processes, they are right. Okay, chalo, fine. Chalo. So thermodynamical processes, they are the processes in which the thermodynamical variables which define the system, it changes with time. Now the first thermodynamical process is isothermal, second is adiabatic, isobaric process, and last is isochoric, right? Or you can also call as isovolumic process. So children, the name itself suggests its meaning. First process, that is isothermal. Thermal means temperature. So this is the process in which the temperature of the system, it remains constant. So what is an isothermal process? An isothermal process is the process in which the pressure and the volume of the system changes. What changes? Pressure and volume change hoga, but the temperature of the system remains constant, right? For isothermal process. And for isothermal process, the ideal gas equation can be written as PV equal to constant. For isothermal process, it can be written as the ideal gas equation will become PV equal to constant. This is for children isothermal process. PV equals to constant, right? Next, let's talk about the adiabatic process. So adiabatic process is the process in which there is no exchange of heat taking place. Means there is no exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding or between the surrounding and the system. Right? So an adiabatic process is the one in which the volume, sorry, in which the pressure, the volume and the temperature of the system will change. But there is no exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding. So that is your adiabatic process. So children, for adiabatic process, our relation of ideal gas can be written as PV raised to gamma equals to constant. Now children, what is gamma? Gamma is the ratio of specific heats at specific heat at constant pressure upon specific heat at constant volume. So this ratio is of specific heat at constant pressure upon specific heat at constant volume. So that is your children gamma. So for adiabatic process, we can write PV raised to gamma equals to constant. Okay, children. Now let's talk about the third process. The third process is the isobaric. Now you know, children, BAR bar. Bar is the unit to measure pressure. So here, children, the pressure will remain constant. So you can, children, define isobaric process as the process in which the pressure of the system, it remains constant. So it is a thermodynamical process which occurs at constant pressure. Now let's talk about the last process, children. The last process is isochoric process. Children, isochoric process, it is a process which takes place at constant at constant volume. So children, if there is no change in volume, means volume is constant, so change in volume is zero. So if change in volume is zero, we know, children, work done is P del V, pressure into change in volume. But for isochoric process, as the volume, change in volume is constant, so as this is zero, work done will become zero. So in isochoric process, as the volume of the system remains constant, so the work done becomes zero, and hence no work is done on the system or by the system. So in isochoric process, your del Q equals to del U plus del W, but del W is zero. So whatever heat you are giving to the system, that will go in changing the internal energy of the system, in changing the temperature of the system alone. No work will be done during the isochoric process. Okay, children. Now let's calculate the work done in an isothermal process, in an isothermal expansion. So children, we know isothermal process is the one in which the pressure and the volume, they will change, but the temperature will remain constant, right children? So we know the ideal gas equation for isothermal process, that is PV equals to constant. We know this, right? PV equals to constant, right? So let's proceed. So here children, we are having a cylinder. Here we are having a cylinder. The cylinder is filled with gas, right? Now suppose the cylinder is filled with N moles of gas. How many moles of gas are there, children? N. You can Here we are using n moles of gas is present in the cylinder. Now children, the walls of the cylinder, they are conducting, and here we have been provided with a frictionless, here we are provided with a frictionless piston, right? And the piston is movable, that is it can move easily. Okay children, now what will happen? Now children, here we are going to see, let the pressure of the gas be P. Then the pressure of the gas is P. This much is given. Now children, if the gas in the cylinder, if the gas in the cylinder, suppose initially this was the position of the piston. Now the gas in the cylinder has pushed the piston at this position, right? So what is the displacement of the piston? The displacement of the piston is dx. So the system has done some work, right? The gas has done some work by moving the piston upwards, by moving the piston through a distance of dx. So work done, we know work done is very small, that is dw, that is work done equals to P dV. P dV. dV is what? dV is the change in volume. But change in volume, we know volume is area into displacement. We can write, right? Instead of dV, we are writing area is A and displacement is dx, right? So that is nothing but your P dV, and your A is your cross-sectional area of the piston, right? So I hope this much is clear. Now what we need to do, this is small work than dW. Suppose we are changing the gas from its initial state, that is initially its pressure is, initial state is pressure is P1 and volume is V1. We are changing it to P2 V2, because children, when the cylinder will move upwards, there will be change in the pressure also. Suppose initially the pressure is P1, volume was V1, but when the piston has been moved up by the gas, the pressure becomes P2 and the volume becomes V2. During this process, children, the temperature of the system is constant. So if dW is the small work done, then total work done will be, we can get it by integrating, and as the work is done in isothermal process, means temperature is constant. So आप integrate करोगे, right? Integration किसका करोगे? P dV का, because P dV is the छोटू work done, and such छोटू work done, if you add them, you will get the big work done. So you are going to do the integration of P dV. So here in different, here you are having volume. So volume is changing from V1 to V2. So integration from V1 to V2, P dV, right? I hope this much is clear. Okay, so here it is. So that is integration, work done in isothermal process in changing the state of the gas from P1 V1 to P2 V2 is given by integration from V1 to V2 P dV, right? Now we know the ideal gas equation is PV equals to mu RT or nRT, right? So from this, children, we can get the value of P. P को subject of formula बनाओ, P equals to nRT upon V. Now children, N is constant, R is constant, temperature हम constant रख रहे हैं because it is an isothermal process. So here this value of P we will substitute over here. So if we substitute this value of P as nRT by V, then let's see, our equation will become, that is work done in isothermal process, instead of P we have substituted nRT by V, right? Now children, nRT all are constant, that will come out of the integration, and here we are having 1 by V. Now children, integration of 1 by V is natural log V, ln V. Then what we do, next step is to put the upper limit minus lower limit. So upper limit is, instead of V you will put V2, minus lower limit, instead of V you will put V1. So nRT ln V2 minus ln V1, they are the natural logs, right? Log V2 minus log V1 is nothing but it is log V2 upon V1. And if you want to replace this natural log by log to the base 10, then what you need to do? आपको simple 2.303 से multiply करना है, then ln will change into log. So children, this is the formula for work done during the isothermal process, right, of n moles of ideal gas, right? So this is the work done during the isothermal process. Now children, let's find out the work done in an adiabatic process. So children, adiabatic process, we know the process in which there is no exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding, right? So here children, we are considering a system, that is we are considering a cylinder which is having some ideal gas of n moles. So n moles of gas is present in a system, in a cylinder over here, okay. So this is a cylinder in which there is n moles of ideal gas, right? Its walls are insulating walls and we have been provided with a frictionless piston, and this piston is able to move easily up and down. Let the pressure of the gas be P. P is the pressure of the gas, right? Now, when the piston moves up, if piston initially it was in this position over here, right? Now the piston has moved up, it has got displaced by a distance that is dx, right? And the area of the piston is A is the area of the piston, right? So children, when the gas has moved the piston upwards through a displacement of dx, the total work done is dw, and we know work done is pdv. So it is pa into dx, which is equals to pdv. This is the total work done. We want the entire work done. So when the piston has been moved, suppose the initial state of the gas is P1, pressure is P1, volume is V1, temperature is T1. And during the final stage, when it has reached the over here, the position of the gas, the state of the gas is with pressure P2, volume V2 and temperature T2, right? Now, the entire work done will be the addition of such chotu work done. So for that we always do integration of PdV from volume V1 to V2. Now children, we know the equation for adiabatic process. We had written that it is PV raised to gamma equals to constant, and here the constant we are taking it as K. So if we make P subject of formula, K upon V raised to gamma, which is nothing but K into V raised to minus gamma. Gamma upar, V raised to gamma upar jayega, that will be minus gamma. So this value of P, that is K V raised to gamma minus 1, we will substitute over here, right? K क्या है आपको वो पता है, that is nRT, that is nRT, right? That we will do, right? I will show you. Okay. So let's substitute the value of P in the integration. In this integration, if we substitute the value of P as K V raised to gamma minus 1, it is over here. K is constant, it will come out of integration. Now integration of V raised to gamma, we have done integration of x raised to n is x n plus 1 upon n plus 1. Right. So here what is the value of n? Minus gamma. That is minus gamma plus 1. That is 1 minus gamma upon minus gamma plus 1. That is 1 minus gamma. Right, beta? So here what we have to do next? We have to put the value of limits. So here the upper limit is V2. So instead of V, we will put V2. Our equation will be V2 raised to 1 minus gamma minus the lower limit, that is V1 raised to 1 minus gamma, right? 1 minus gamma, this it is constant, so it has come out, right? So now what will happen? Now we are going to convert it into gamma minus 1. So what we are doing? We are just multiplying minus sign inside. So when we multiply minus sign inside, here you will see initially it was V2, now it is V1. What we have done? We have just multiplied minus sign inside, so that here we get gamma minus 1, right? No big crime, right? Easy. Okay. Now, children, over here, this is the last portion which says that we know, children, that PV raised to gamma is constant. Means P1 V1 raised to gamma भी constant होगा and P2 V2 raised to gamma भी constant होगा. Okay. It means P1 V1 raised to gamma and P2 V2 raised to gamma are equal. They are same constant K. So it is, so here instead of, here we are having K, right? So instead of K, what we will put? We will put P1 V1 raised to gamma. और इसके साथ क्या है? V1 raised to 1 minus gamma. वो तो है ही पहले से, right? अब K की जगह क्या रखेंगे? P2 V2 raised to gamma. और already क्या है? V2 raised to 1 minus gamma. Now V2 raised to plus gamma, V2 raised to minus gamma will get cancelled. What you will be left with? V2. Similarly, V1 raised to gamma and V1 raised to minus gamma will get cancelled and you will be left with V1. So your equation of work done for an adiabatic process is 1 upon gamma minus 1 bracket P1 V1 minus P2 V2. This is your equation for work done, right? This is yet not over. We need to put the temperature because here the temperature is not constant, right, children? So how we are going to do that? Wait, let me change the slide. So children, we know the ideal gas equation, that is P1 V1 raised to nRT. It is P1 V1 raised to nRT1, P2 V2 raised to nRT2. Right, so simply we are going to put the value of P1 V1. P1 V1 की जगह we have put nRT1 over here and P2 V2 की जगह nRT2. Right, nr will come constant and you will have this equation in terms of temperature. So this equation, children, it gives the work done during the adiabatic expansion, right? So this is the work done for adiabatic expansion. Now what is next? Adiabatic work done. Next, second law of thermodynamics. Second law of thermodynamics. Okay, children. So let's continue with it. So, children, here we are going to talk about second law of thermodynamics. So, children, in second law of thermodynamics, first let's talk about the limitations of first law of thermodynamics. Children, first law of thermodynamics, it did not tell us the direction of heat flow, right? It told us that heat flow hoga. If you keep a hot body and cold body, there will be flow of heat, but it did not tell that what will be the direction of the flow, right? Secondly, it did not give any idea about the extent of change, means how much work will be converted into heat, right? So because of these limitations, and the one more limitation was there of the first law, which says that it did not provide any information about the source of the heat, that whether it is hot body, whether it is cold body, it did not tell. So the second law of thermodynamics was given, in which it was specified the direction of heat flow, that heat flows spontaneously from higher temperature to lower temperature body, right? The heat, it cannot flow in the reverse direction. So to this, there were two different forms of second law which were given by the scientists, and first was given by Kelvin and Planck. And according to them, the statement was it is impossible to construct a heat engine which would absorb 100% of heat from the reservoir. Reservoir is the source, and convert 100% of heat into work done. Means total 100% conversion is not possible. This was Kelvin Planck's statement. Next statement was given by Clausius, and he said that it is impossible to design a self-acting machine which can work on its own without the help of any external agency, right? Which would transfer heat from a body at lower temperature to a body at higher temperature. So it is not possible to design such a machine that transfers heat from lower temperature to higher temperature. So these are the two different forms of second law of thermodynamics. Lastly, we are going to talk about reversible and irreversible processes. So children, reversible processes, they are the processes which are taking place in a system from its final stage from its initial state to its final state, right? And in this process, and children, in this process, the system and the surrounding, they all can return to their original state, right, without any change anywhere in the universe. So they all are your reversible processes. What are irreversible processes? Irreversible processes are the processes in which this thing does not happen. That is, it does not, the system and the surrounding, it does not returns back to its original state. There is somewhere something changed, right? So reversible processes, children, we will consider, these are the conditions which need to be satisfied for a reversible process, and the first condition is the reversible process should take place extremely slowly. It should be quasi-static, means the difference between the first and the second step should not be much. It should be very less, so that any time the system can return back, right? Means it should be in equilibrium at each and every step. At step 1 and step 2, they should be in equilibrium, in mechanical equilibrium, they should be in thermal equilibrium, and they should be in chemical equilibrium. Means internally, internal structure of the system also should not change much. So it happens in infinitely slow, right? That is the first condition of reversible process. Second is, it should be free from all the dissipative forces. Means there should be no friction, there should be no inelasticity, there should be no viscosity. Means the energy should not be given somewhere, or it should not be drained away. So these forces, this dissipative forces should not be there. But beta in nature, no process is truly reversible, right? Let's talk about irreversible. In irreversible, there is, the conditions are, they are the free expansion. If you see any free expansion, if you see chemical reaction, explosion, right, then the system is never going to return back, right? And in irreversible, there are all friction, viscosity, all are present. So this is irreversible processes. Okay, children? Okay, with this, the chapter is over. Thank you.